The wildlife habitat protection is important, I think, to everybody because this landscape is being changed by all our human interventions.
I feel like I'm making a difference in the animal health and the timber health and the plant health. I mean, it's the right thing to do.
Across the landscape, we're talking a lot about healthy forest. And I would maintain that a healthy forest includes all of the ecosystem. So it's almost like ecosystem health as well as forest health. And forest health is often revolved around spacing trees out so they're drought resistant. And it doesn't necessarily include elements of habitat like the shrub layer. That's a really good example. So I've tried to emphasize and help people include the other parts of the ecosystem as well as individual tree health.
We did a lot of thinning work and limbing to try to maintain that prairie and prevent it from being encroached upon by trees. We've done 2 prescribed burns now last year. So we've burned 220 acres of grassland and forest. And then we've been monitoring habitat features for the last 2 years, including our habitat piles, our wildlife trees, and some of our water sources. This is a habitat pile. This is intentionally created for wildlife habitat, using a base of larger logs that are kind of chaotically built together. And then we top it with a layer of slash or fine branches that provides cover, thermal cover, and visual cover. So these are mainly intended to house small mammals, reptiles, birds, and we've documented over 25 species using these with our cameras.
DNR has helped us in our forest work with cost share. They help with the wildfire prevention work that we all need to pay attention to because we're prime wildfire locations.
We're in essence trying to turn the forest back into stands that can withstand low-intensity fire. When I work with small forest landowners on habitat management, I try to emphasize actionable items, meaning things they can do, such as retaining snags, even creating snags, keeping good shrubs for the wildlife, things that bear fruit, water, having water sources. So key elements to the habitat, I came up with an acronym. It's SLOPS. It stands for snags, logs, legacy, being big trees, openings, the gaps, patches, the skips, piles, habitat feature, and shrubs. SLOPS, snags, logs, legacy, openings, patches, piles, and shrubs. And these are applied appropriately at appropriate scale. While we're dealing with all this material, we can create a habitat feature that gets used by tons of stuff. And shrubs, the shrub layer, the really valuable habitat.
So my grandson and I, we're walking through the forest and, typical kid, he sees a tree about 6 to 8 feet tall, just looks all rotted. And it's like, okay, I can run and hit that thing. I'm going to knock it over. So it's like he finally gets it down. Then we meet Phil and Ken a couple of weeks later. And, well, we really want to promote habitat trees. And we both looked at it like, oh, shoot, we just knocked down a habitat tree. So, but that's how we learn, right?
There are enough studies and evidence that more cost share for wildlife habitat piles would be a great way to use woody material in the forests after we do our thinnings and tree selection for wildlife trees and that sort of thing.
And the service foresters are excellent. We have such a cadre of just professionals who are very interested in wildlife too. And so I try to help them. So there's even some internal communication and education to give them tools to work with. So across the landscape, it's pretty remarkable how many places we, the Service Forestry Program, have affected.
What we're trying to do here is create some connectivity. We're thinking about the forest, we're thinking about the wildlife, we're thinking about the fish. This landscape is rich with everything from a wide variety of birds, cougar and elk and deer and bear, and we have wolves. Then we have lots of the small mammals, and we're actually doing a lot of science to figure out what is here and how it exists as part of our studies of this landscape.